Okay, here are the brainy bits. Governor, let's zoom in on that. And here I've included a very basic, very small database written in Cherry code. And so here we have one piece of information and another piece and so on. So this piece of information relates to the variable of the ID fluffles. And you can really call it whatever you want. It can be a string of letters or numbers. It doesn't really matter. And we give it an attribute. Now in Cherry code, things don't have types. They're not restricted or limited to one type. Instead, they can have an infinite supply of attributes or relations. And here's the declaration of one such attribute. So here's what a relationship looks like. It has, again, the ID to which you want to parent off of. It has, instead of the attribute type, it has the relationship type. And then here's the value. So you can think of this as booleans, either something equals or does not equal something. This, on the other hand, it has a simple plug-in value, and here it relates to another variable that's ID'd as darkness. Here's another way I allowed of writing that, only this one directs to the dark one. These aren't necessarily declared variables, so if the information's missing, that's no big deal. We'll just ignore it and move on. Here's another form of relationship, and here the variable itself is unknown. It's a variable that matches these parameters, and it's not necessarily one that's been defined or linked to. It's merely information we can use. This is called an anonymous linking reference or relationship. So here's a couple more bits of information, and yep, that's all good now. And so here we move on to the fun part. I'm gonna type in the cake is a lie, or let's say the cake is a dumb lie. Just add in a small bit more information so we can make the program work a tiny bit harder. Okay, so all this is experimental stuff I've been working with. You don't have to pay any attention to that now. So here it's just getting some basic analyses on the sentence down. Here it's looking up on the database, and it's analyzing the context in order to produce each best type for the individual word. Okay, the cake is. So is the third verb. You can see a third word. You can see a 3 right here. And the noun object is 5, so the cake is a lie. So the lie is the noun object. 2's reverse noun object is 1. So in other words, the article the corresponds to the noun cake. So these are just random heuristics that they're not perfect, but they do a pretty good job at understanding language. Cherry's great at running heuristics, but the heuristics I've currently given it that are written in Cherry aren't necessarily the best, so that's really the main problem. So here it's registered nouns, and whoa, it actually came up with a random string of letters that resembles something in English that really has no relevance or value, though, unfortunately. So here's the noun element. It incorporates cake, so this is referring to the cake, and so it takes the parameter to which you may later discriminate of cake onto itself. Here's the last part. It's a lie, but also it's dumb. And I included 2 different ways of writing this. This is saying the lie is dumb. This is saying the thing that is a lie is also dumb. This is saying that the lie itself is dumb contextually, like strictly related to its value as a lie by nature. It's dumb. So those have slightly different meanings, and so you may want to use them differently. So anyway, is equals dumb, so yay, we attribute dumbness to the cake. But that's a very simple sentence, so it's nothing too severe or interesting. So anyway, what we'll want to do now is come up with something more complex. So I actually want to show you how this program handles relationships. So the girl's cat's cat toy is dumb. So there's lots of things that are dumb, but let's have it analyze this sentence now. And you can see how it handles relationships. And so here, the new entry, the girl's cat's cat toy is dumb. So it works through a few things, makes some few simple analyses, and declares some types. Here's additional analyses and information that it gives itself to use. So the girl's cat's cat. So cat, noun object, is 7. Yes, so cat corresponds to toy, it's used, and these heuristics again are incomplete, so this should be cat toy. And I had a working heuristic earlier, but I lost it somewhere, but really that's no problem. Anyway, here's some information it allows itself to use. Now here's the cool part. It generates this information. So first of all, toy corresponds to thing, and the heuristic is written in such a way that it does this even though the sentence doesn't necessarily communicate it. It always says a thing is a thing, and I'll change that. But anyway, the trait is a thing. Now Iggy is the girl, so it registered these random IDs for them. So trait is the thing, Iggy is the girl, Iggy's cat is Butch, and Butch's thing is trait. So this reconstructed the sentence to say Iggy's, and if it knows the name later, it can correct for that, but for now, since those exact names aren't listed, instead they're mentioned abstractly or implicitly, then it comes up with terms for itself. So Iggy's cat, which is Butch, Butch's thing is trait, and trait is described as a thing. So that's really cool, and then we just hook dumb onto the end of that and say that trait is also dumb. And so there you have it. It understood a sentence. And this could potentially go on forever. You could say my niece's nephew's oldest grandchild's cat, and you could just add as many relationships as you want and it would organize it correctly, because it doesn't necessarily link to the next word in line, it links to the next available word, and it uses these heuristics that analyze the context to determine what parts are connected and used in a certain chain of relationships. So let's move on to something else now. Anyway, here's a little bit of its extended knowledge base. Here's information on all of these words, but anyway, let's move on. So it's actually some... sorry, this is in the way. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was... let's just do that. She was looking pretty dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of... I don't know if the program's going to recognize this, so I'm going to do a shape of a letter on her forehead. So we're going to save that and run the program. give it a second, and it comes up with all this information on all, 3 sentences. So that's the old thing. Okay, here's the new thing. So it registers its nouns. Ooh, that's a lot of information to get through. Well, anyway, here's everything it's taken. It's trying to link prepositions and find out which words correspond to them. And let's see. Yeah, so here are just nouns that were registered that it can use to attribute stuff to. Again, these IDs are completely arbitrary. It could be anything, but that's just what it came up with. Preposition sub for 17, which, oh, I don't want to count that. Oh, no. 17, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So, letter. So 17's reverse preposition sub is on. So on's subject is letter, and you know it will construct these in a hierarchical manner, kind of like how it already handled the relationships I had earlier. So anyway, I know this isn't complete, and there's a lot more time we can spend on what this program does. However, I think that's a good enough glimpse for now.